Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, fans are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, Blue Mizzou, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? What is going on, Jayhawk Nation? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and I'm excited to bring you this video because the Kansas Jayhawks are really building momentum. Now, they did play a lesser opponent in Towson, which that's rightfully so. You're going to have games like that on your schedule. It is kind of some relief after really the gauntlet of non-con that this team has really gone through. I mean, most teams are kind of not necessarily going through a cupcake schedule, but the Kansas Jayhawks, ladies and gentlemen, night in and night out, where they are playing games, are playing a very formidable opponent. Most of the time, they've played teams in the top 25. If not, they're playing teams in the top 50, according to KenPom. They're playing teams that are in top categories, leading statistical categories. They have played teams that are just all around good basketball programs. So it's kind of nice to see a team like Towson come into, Allen Fieldhouse and play the Kansas Jayhawks. So we'll jump in. We'll really kind of talk about the team as a whole. I still think there's some things that need to be improved on, as most of you who were tweeting throughout the game were post-game. And honestly, I think that there's some things that will really stand out again. And so we're really going to dive in, talk, individual aspects. And so we're going to jump in. So on Tuesday night in Lawrence, inside the greatest basketball complex in all of college basketball, I'll say that every time because I believe it, the number 17 Kansas Jayhawks would deliver a convincing performance against the Towson Tigers, controlling the game really from the start to finish and ending the score 73-49. So I really think that it was just a get it and go type of mentality. Bill Self really mentioned, let's go win the next two games. This was after the NC State win. Let's go win these next two games really in a dominant fashion, which they definitely did last night. But the biggest thing, ladies and gentlemen, is yet again this team played without their star-studded point guard in Darryn Peterson. Now, right before the game, as we kind of anticipated who have been in this routine, we don't hear really any news. We don't really get any information. Leading up to the game, about an hour or two before the game starts, and you find out Darryn Peterson will be ruled out due to quad cramps this go-around. Now, he's gone through a series of things with his legs, ladies and gentlemen. He had some hamstring issues. He's had quad issues. He's had cramping. He's been sick. So he's really kind of going through it from a medical health standpoint. Hopefully, ladies and gentlemen, my forecast for Darryn Peterson is you will not see him against Davidson. You will not see him up until the Big 12 kicks off in the new year. So that's what I anticipate. It's just interesting to hear. And I'm going to go ahead and let Bill Self, tell you, kind of provide you an update here.
Darryn, give a little bit about what the timeline is looking like.
I don't know. I really don't. But I know that, he practiced yesterday. But he wasn't moving like he's capable of moving by any stretch. Much like the NC State game, much like the Missouri game. Although Missouri, I think, was more health-related than it was legs. But, it's not his hamstring. At least we got that going for us. But, he's frustrated. He's frustrated. When you can practice, you can be out there, but when you're young, but when you get a little bit older, your body doesn't exactly react the way your brain tells it to as you get a little bit older. I'll probably experience that, the next few years. That's what he's going through at age 19. His body's just not reacting. His brain telling him to go somewhere and do it at this pace, and his body's just not reacting to it. So we still believe that it's, a day-to-day deal. We still believe that we'll get through this, but until, he can actually move the way that his brain's programmed to move, his body to move, then we'll probably be very cautious still.
Now, what confuses me is if Darryn's truly going through these cramps, if he's truly going through these, series of issues with his legs, why is he still practicing? I mean, I guess that's just my question. If it's something that is needing rest, I mean, I just am confused on how we just can't wrap our head around a cramping issue or a quad issue or a hamstring issue and how it keeps flaring up. I mean, if it's requiring rest, why is he still practicing? I mean, I'm not a doctor. That's not my forte. I love talking sports, so that's really the lane I'm going to stick to, but that's just kind of my 2 cents is if he's really just kind of going through it, why not just give him a break? I mean, maybe that's just not how he's wired. Maybe there's something that he's mandated to do. I don't know, but that's really kind of just my thoughts on that. So we're going to jump in. So Kansas would score 73 points. I think that was kind of looking a little stagnant there for a while. There was a stretch where we were just kind of going brick for brick with the Towson Tigers. Finally, we would kind of pull away a little bit more than really the average 10 to 12 points. So the Kansas Jayhawks, they did shoot 46.7% overall. I think that's really a solid efficiency on really the 2-point. The perimeter shooting, though, ladies and gentlemen, 3-point shooting could improve. They were 8 of 28. Melvin Council, yet again, kind of showing his ability to improve on the 3 ball. He would hit 3 of those 8. And I do believe, just off the top of my mind, and we'll kind of show it, is Bryson Tiller actually broke out of his cold streak of 3-point shooting and actually hit a 3 ball. So it was nice to see that, and man, did that thing snap the net. If you were listening to the game, that thing had some pop. The Jayhawks once again lost the turnover battle. I would just one game, ladies and gentlemen, can the Kansas Jayhawks not get more turnovers than their opponent? I mean, that the Towson Tigers only had 6, and for the type of defense that the Kansas Jayhawks have, and really how they play defensively, that number should be a lot higher. The Jayhawks, on the other hand, should be lower. And it seems like game in and game out, they're 10 and above. And it's like, eventually, and I hate to say that, but it's just how basketball is, the turnovers are going to bite you. If you continuously have double-digit turnovers, at some point, it's really going to hurt you. And so we need to get that wrapped up. I think, too, a more glaring stat was the Jayhawks were out-rebounded in this game. And that's really kind of what the Jayhawks and Bill Self specifically puts emphasis on in this team, is rebounding the basketball. And they were out, from a defensive standpoint, they were out-rebounded dramatically. And so Bill Self was very, very critical of that when he was interviewed in the post-game last night about how they got out-rebounded. He said that needs to improve immediately. So I'm glad that at least that was identified. And it gave, the biggest thing is you're seeing when they aren't attacking the basketball on the defensive side, it gives the opponent, specifically Towson last night, multiple opportunities after initial attempt. Now, obviously, Towson didn't execute and didn't complete, those second chance opportunities, but it just shows you that those second chance opportunities are there, and it happened multiple times in the NC State game, which is why they were there at the very end, why it went to overtime. If they would just find ways to really box out, get these second chance rebounds, then you're eliminating the aspect and you're really pulling away your lead against some of these bigger teams. But a team like Towson, even though they out-rebounded the Jayhawks, they just didn't shoot a high percentage, which we'll talk about. Obviously, they only scored 49 points, so that's a little bit lower on the tier of college basketball scores. They did only shoot 27.5%, which really showed they had significant offensive struggle. At times, it didn't feel like they were even really going through offensive plays. There were times where it just felt like they were forcing threes, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that. And so Townsend's rebounding, again, highlighted. They won 45-43, out-rebounding, showing grit on the glass. And I think if they would have executed, this game would have been a lot closer because they just couldn't shoot. That 27.5% was pretty abysmal. Now, breaking down individual players, Flory Badunga, ladies and gentlemen, yet again, it's a lesser opponent. You anticipate that Flory's going to dominate the game, rightfully so, and he did. 18 points, 10 rebounds. Led the Jayhawks with a double-double, dominating the paint, finishing efficiently. Again, 7 of 8, so really kind of getting back into that heavy controlled down in the post type of game. His rebounding, 10 rebounds, and really his rim protection, he had 3 blocks. One of those, which we'll show right now, was just an absolute, kind of like a volleyball spike. That thing was blocked, ladies and gentlemen. It really controlled the interior, which I think is big for Flory. Building that confidence, building down low. You're going to be going against some pretty significant people coming up in Big 12 play. Trey White, ladies and gentlemen, the thing I want to highlight about Trey White, I really enjoy his basketball game. I enjoy his how he contributes. I enjoy his leadership. I do. But the thing with Trey White is he's versatile. And what I mean by that is he can be a scorer. He can be a guy that distributes the ball to other players to get assists. He's constantly rebounding the basketball. But at times it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. And what I mean by that is there's times where Trey White kind of disappears from a points perspective. There's times where he disappears from really taking charge on the floor in situations where, depending on who's around him and who's playing with him, there's times where you got guys like Elmarco Jackson, Cole Rosario, Jaden Dawson, Samus Calderon, Jamari McDowell that are surrounding him. When those guys are out there on the floor, they're looking for someone to really distribute the ball. They don't always want to just take charge. They're younger. Most of them are younger players. And so Trey White needs to step up and really take the opportunity to be the leader when he's out there on the floor with those guys. And so I think there's times where he kind of steps back and becomes more of just a contributor. I'm trying to think how I want to say this. He just kind of goes with the flow, if that makes sense. So I really anticipate Trey to kind of continue. I mean, he did score 16 points, ladies and gentlemen. He shot really, really well. He had 6 assists. The rebounding was there. It's just sometimes Trey, I want the consistency, if that makes sense. I'm a big fan. I don't want that to come across as I'm not a fan. I just want to see the consistent, versatile aspect that we know he can do and be the all-around basketball player. Just continually be that force and scoring those points and contributing and distributing and doing all those things. That's really kind of where I'm going with. Now, Melvin Council Jr., yet again, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, impressive. The guy is a dog, and it's amazing to start to see the fans kind of get around that idea. It's really cool to see like the dog signs in the stands. I mean, he is really embracing what it means to be a Kansas Jayhawk, and he's really becoming a fan favorite. He was key on the perimeter yet again, so that three-point shooting is starting to improve. He absolutely popped the net a few times. Just pure shooting. Was 3 of 6 from long range, which you're going to need. If Darryn Peterson's not going to be available, you have to have somebody that has the ability to pop the net. Combined scoring and rebounding helped sustain the Jayhawks offense. Although he did not put up the 36, the legacy game like we saw in NC State, he is scoring 15 points. He is building momentum. He's building that confidence to kind of continuously be that guy, to be the point guard that we need to really be out there. So I'm excited to see Melvin Council continue that kind of continuation of his success. It's that magical time of the year again. The minute the boxes come out of storage and the first string of lights flickers on, everything just feels brighter. The smell of pine fills the house. The Christmas tree goes up, and suddenly, you're transforming your home into a full-blown holiday wonderland. Maybe you're climbing the ladder to hang lights on the roof, setting up those larger-than-life yard decorations, or turning the living room into the coziest place on earth. But sometimes, the Christmas spirit outgrows the space you're in. Whether you're dreaming of a bigger living room, for the perfect tree, a yard worthy of your holidays display, or simply a home that better fits your seasonal traditions, now might be the ideal time to find your dream home. Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you're a first-time homebuyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert, passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait. Your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000. Or visit lisamillersaleskc.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next chapter. So if you're ready to make a move that matches your holiday joy, Lisa Miller is here to help you find that place where your Christmas magic can truly come to life. Bryson Tiller, 11 points, ladies and gentlemen. It's nice to see Bryson Tiller play well against what I would classify as a lesser opponent. He typically shines in those games. You typically see the 11 points, the 8 rebounds, the really good defense, the ability to box out and be athletic and do things against lesser opponents. We need that same type of enforcement. We need that same type of player to step up when you're facing really good teams, when you're facing those top 25 teams, when you're facing the Big 12 teams that are coming up. He often goes quiet in some of the major categories categories like points. He gets into foul trouble at times when he's facing more competitive teams. So you would anticipate that he would dominate a lesser opponent in Towson, who really doesn't match up well against a 6'11" athletic, can handle the ball, can shoot the basketball, can work down low, can drive it like a point guard or a shooting guard. But at the same time, you need to see that translation when he's facing teams like North Carolina, Duke, and NC State, and the list of teams that we've already played, or coming up, the teams like Arizona and all the Big 12 teams that are going to be solid, BYU. Who's going to be guarding Desponsa when he arrives? You know what I mean? So seeing Bryson do well against the lesser tier, great, but we need that same mentality against major opponents. Now, the role in rotation, Jamari McDowell would get the start, ladies and gentlemen, due to Darryn Peterson being out, but Jamari actually didn't log the most minutes from really that perspective. You would see guys like Elmarco Jackson, Jaden Dawson, Cole Rosario really kind of take some of what would be his starting minutes. And so it was really kind of divvied up to amongst all four of those guys. So Jamari, Cole, Elmarco, and Jaden all kind of shared minutes. Jamari was given the start, added his typical defensive collective spark. He's one of my favorites this year, ladies and gentlemen. Jamari McDowell, when he's on the court, he's not going to make a whole lot of mistakes. He's not going to absolutely just dominate in the stats, the box score. What he's going to provide you is solid defense. He's going to hit timely shots when he needs to. He hit 1 3. He had 4 points. But he was positive in the positive-negative category. He just contributes in a very solid way. And so Jamari is starting to really kind of become an all-around basketball player, which I'm excited for. I think that's something you want to see in a Bill Self program is growth, and that's Jamari right now. Cole Rosario, we still need to see improvement. The freshman continues to kind of struggle from long distance. He was 1 of 6, I believe, on the floor. Just really plays good defense, has his moments. There's times where you're like, man, that's what we anticipate. That's why he was a top 100 guy. But then there's other times where you just don't see it quite yet. And he's a freshman. You got to let those things slide. He's getting minutes as a freshman, which is a big deal. And Jaden Dawson, just kind of not a whole lot, just chipped in effort, rebounding, defense, kind of floor spacing, just not a ton. Samus Calderon, ladies and gentlemen, I think it was a big thing for him as he contributed almost 14 minutes in this game, really gaining some good game experience. Same thing, a top 100 guy barely eclipsed the top 100. It's nice to see him kind of gain some momentum and build some, because I'm sure there's going to be a game where he gets in and he has to have some contribution. That happens later in the season. Guys get hurt, they're fatigued, they're drained, and so guys like Samus will have to come in and contribute probably some minutes, similar to what we saw here. So it's nice to really see him get some minutes. I would expect him to log some more minutes coming up against Davidson, who we are anticipated to play in 5 days. Now, this kind of the theme of the whole thing. Kansas, the offense, they move the ball well. Trey White's playmaking and multiple players, scoring in double figures, showed balance in the offense. Really, the backcourt and the frontcourt scoring balance, with both the guards and the forwards really contributing into that offensive success, again, which would make sense to why we saw multiple guys in double figures. The biggest thing is defense, and Kansas continues to build on their defense. They held Towson to a low shooting efficiency, 27.5%. They forced tough shots and really are kind of being aggressive when it comes to playing a lockdown type of defense. You see how they're really moving now, and they're guarding the perimeter in a lot of ways, where early on they kind of struggled in that area. And depth, I think, is a strong suit. Having the ability to rotate players with multiple contributions beyond just the starters really reflects the ability to have depth, and Kansas has that this year. Bill Self is confident to say, hey, my guy that's out there right now just isn't cutting it. Let's go to the bench and try to change things up. And he's going to be replacing him with someone who may be able to sustain and contribute just as much, if not more. Now, team context, kind of wrapping this thing up. The Jayhawks are now 9-3. They shot a solid 46.7%. They controlled the pace of this game. They established an early lead and never relinquished control. And I think you need to do that against teams like Towson. Like I stated earlier, ladies and gentlemen, they will be facing Davidson next, and then it will be Big 12 play. I think there's going to be a stretch, kind of long stretches of time where we just don't see games right now because of the holidays. So we do play Davidson in 5 days, and then after the new year, we will be playing UCF's opening Big 12 play. I appreciate y'all checking out this video. As always, it means so much to me. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe this video. And I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.